You're the greatest mom of all. Always catch me when I fall. Even from a distance, you can hear me when I call. You're the greatest mom of all. You're the greatest mom of all. You're the greatest mom of all.
Never underestimate the support of a mother in birthing the dreams of her children. The Dancehall Professor Orville Hall shares how who he is today is as a result of the never-ending support of his mom. Here is their story.
Greetings and salutations. My name is Orville Hall, aka the Dancehall Professor, and this here, I'm a woman. It's a girl here. This is my mother, Mrs. Laurel Hall. And what makes her the best mother in the world? Our support, our love and affection, how she used to beat me, how she did know when we do something wrong. One of the time I used to wonder if my mother was a witch, could figure out how to find out certain things about the things that we did. But all in all, this woman is, if people know me as a radio host, every Friday morning before I come off the radio, I thank my mother for being the most supportive person in my life, from them time till now, even now. When we at the house, if me look away, is a woman who will just scramble around at the kitchen and look after a cup of tea and carry come give me. That's her. That's Miss Laurel. In the community, she is called the world boss because she has been here from 1962. They brought, between her and my father, they brought running water into the community. They were among the first 3 people to settle here in the Jacksontown community. So they are truly almost like creators of the community. So as one of the oldest standing member of the community, them call her world boss. Protective mother. She was a protective mother. So much so that we never know much of our friend them yard, but they did know our yard. Our house was one of the first houses that had a television in there as well. This is the first yard in the community that a dancehall party was kept. So people used to just gather at our house to watch TV, to come and have a party. The shop is one of the first in the community as well. I have now taken over the shop, and it's now called the Dancehall Deli. And she was always working. She was always working between myself and my younger brother, who is I'm a year and 11 months older than my younger brother. And we just always, she was there to, the magic was, how did she take care of both of us at the same time? Because my oldest brother was already, responsible for himself, but taking care of both of us, dealing with the shop and helping my father when he was building the house from just board stage. She used to carry mortar. Only mixed men, I see my mother mix mortar, but like she used to carry the bucket and she used to cook the food for the guys who come for help work at the house. So she was a superwoman to me, and this is what I remember, seeing her as this strong woman growing up.
And I guess the greatest thing, I never leave them. They always get up and say, Mommy, going to bed, them say, Mommy, I try to do something at home that I can be around them.
Yeah.
So I think those are the greatest things. Going to school, I don't wait until the teacher calls me. Marvin, do this, Dennis, do that.
Yeah, but them things, Mr. Laurel, you never did have a pop-up our school them kind of way there.
No, maybe that.
With their school, I would just hear, Orville Hall, your mother outside.
Well, when them going, eat it that now. Them call, who you come look for now? Disco baby?
Oh, that was my nickname at Edith Dalton James. They called me Disco Baby because, you know, my fond memories of Edith Dalton James was always dancing in the cafeteria. So, yeah, man. And she, listen, popping up at St. Richard's was one thing because St. Richard's is just up Ordeals Road there, so. But Edith Dalton James, they are doing the park. And Miss Larry pop up down there so too.
Yeah.
Just to find out what is happening.
I don't want to wait until the teacher call me and say, I will bust a boy head, you know. Because some parents wait until that time. But I visit them school, whatever I'm doing. I used to rough him up bad for this thing, you know. But he said to my mama, he said, when I'm doing anything and know that you're out there, it give me a push. Who tell him to tell me that? He tell up in almost the work I really anyway.
When I perform.
I'm there with him. So I'm supporting him from him start this thing until now.
My mother fling a piece of board off for me one day. I'm positive so I cut the corner before the board. So I don't know how the board come around the corner. I'm sure so I go round the corner.
That was good. That was
before
good.
the board. But the thing is, it was my fault because she always tell me, said, don't run. She said, don't run because if me there go beat you and you run, the beat never double. Because sometimes you will get a little drip and a little shake up and stuff. But if you run, it will, yeah. And she, but it afraid of me. But it rude, but me afraid of me. So, I always have to make an attempt for run. my younger brother, however, he must stand up. All right. This is the irony. Me run and get beaten, or me get beat because I start screaming out before the lick reach me. My brother will get beaten because he now move to the beating. Him get two thump and him just stand up and look. And my mother just thump him up some more and say, so he stand up and look at my son. So still I get.
What if you get in flag and you must cry? If you don't cry, it have a big meaning. So me now stop till me see your cry water drop. No, sir.
A very specific moment. She pushed me up against a wall one day and my head hit the wall and Miss Laurel get the Kananga water. You know Kananga water, right? And she sat with the Kananga water in her hands, so, you know, and she sat down and I tell you, say, if you behave yourself, I tell you all the while. You alright? Alright, I tell you all the while. So, and this happened on a number of occasions. You know, after you get a proper flagging, then she come back and explain to you why you get the flagging and what you need to do and why she have to work so hard and why we have to, because we came up at a time where certain things that we have now achieved in our life seemed very distant and almost unlikely that we would get to that place. But she always saw that for us. You know, she saw that for us, and especially for me, why it was something unintentionally happened in our life. When I was doing I failed my first common entrance. So did my brother. On my second attempt, I was sick, very, very sick. I couldn't do the common entrance. My brother passed his second common entrance and went off to Calabar, and the community literally chipped in for helping. Because now he's a youth from the inner city going to high school, so the attention was turned to him, and this was not intentionally. You know, this is just what happened. Now I am now on my way to one of the most what would be considered volatile communities, which was Dorraine Park at the time, and going to Edith Dalton James Secondary. So Edith Dalton James Secondary, we are talking about Chaucer Avenue, we are talking about Brook Valley, we are talking about New Haven, we are talking about Sherlock Crescent. So because of all of this now, I was truly feeling that my self-esteem was really down, you know. But I've never loved my brother so much so that every single thing that happened for Calabar, I was there. Students thought that I was going to Calabar. If it's Manning Cup, if it's Champs, if it's Calabar Barbecue, I was always there. But the same level of provision for him was made for me as well. You know, it's just that media, Edith Dalton James, and you know, and because of that one at the time, you get a little wayward because you're rebelling at the time. But my mother don't allow us to rebel very long. And I tell people, myself and my brother and people still don't believe it to this day, we have never had a physical altercation. Ever. And we grew up in the same yard. Never. We've never even I think we got close one time, talking in each other's face. Miss Laurel.
The ref get it.
Yeah, because she always say, the minute you have a fight, me will ref. Just know that when the ref step in, somebody will get hurt. That's how she ref, and she did. Yeah.
You see, they had a ref them said break. But I break you.
Yeah, man. So she stepped in, and it was, I don't remember if it was a broomstick or a mopstick,
It
but
was a small, thin little bamboo, the young bamboo.
yeah.
And I step up with it. And I put it right between the two fighters. And
Yeah, man.
so bad luck, him get a little touch from him. And that thing make those boys grow until now.
Yeah.
Big people, when him come, hear me, it's them two idiots, you know.
You can still play like we're
Them
kids.
wife.
Yeah.
Watch them now.
Yeah. We still play like we're
They just
kids.
play like children still.
Yeah.
You can't be fighting the one man, one woman child. And the point you fight when we step the road here. Jesus, how will we call Dennis side? Or Dennis chop off? No. Live with love.
One of the only things that a woman should be able to give to you that you can't give to yourself as a child. But you must can do everything else for yourself. So we had to learn to cook. I learned how to wash my clothes with a toothbrush before I was able to hold a proper brush. So Miss Larry would make it, she always tell me, say, soak the shirt in the water with some soap, and then she showed us the two very important places to start with, which was the collar and under the arm. So we used to have to hold it, wet it, and use the toothbrush and rub the dirt out of it. Especially when we play too much at school and the clothes come in really dirty. So we rub the collar and then we go under the arm, because she tell you about the sweat under the arm, and then she said look down the side of the shirt here, so now I have to brush
And
the
I
side of the
always
shirt.
get a coarse toothbrush.
Yeah, man, so we can brush it out. So that was one of it. Cleanliness is godliness. Keeping your place clean, so we had chores. I never like wash plates, so my younger brother for me with the plate washing. I like to clean the house, because when you come out to cleaning of the house, now, I get, after I polish the house, I get 2 pieces of cloth, and then I could stand up on the cloth now and dance on it for shine the house. So yeah, and so me with that in a one room for a length of time until she come in and load me up and say if the rest of the place not clean. You know, but that was my joy when
And
I
at the
listened to the
time,
music.
I'm singing. I don't know if it's opera or it's what. But him singing, just singing. But he was good at the house, and the brother good at the plate. So I put him to the plate and put him in the house. And you know, I never find it hard. They really cope with what I say, and through that we don't have no problem. And them know that mommy is not joking. When she hold you, she hold you. Boy or no boy, she hold you, she hold you. So they always comply. I never have no problem. Because the daddy didn't have to come in and shake them up, beat them. No. When daddy gone, mommy is at home. When I'm not there, I'm going on the street, there is one or the other grandparents to stay. I don't say stay with my neighbor or stay with my friend. I stay, make them stay with somebody that will see to it they don't go through the gate when I'm not here. So I never have a challenge in me. Sometimes when Orville come from Edith, the packet down, the bag. So I go to ask him if he's Michael. So if he's Michael Jackson, I go and lick out the Michael and leave the Jackson. But when I say that is what he loved, and it wasn't a bag of people behind him and you know, he was doing it very, that's how I love it. And I just start going with it.
She has always been my best friend. She was easy to talk to, always. No, like, you know, it's most of the things I go through, I can, all right, every girlfriend that broke my heart, my mother know about it. Like, I could have sit down and talk to her about it. So it wasn't, when I realized that this is, if I get beaten for dance, before I go to bed at night, I'm still thinking about dance. But when I wake up in the morning, I'm still thinking about dance. So I said, then this is what I need to be doing. And then I started understanding very early from some of the persons that I used to talk to that were older than me that your parents are always going to challenge certain things that you do, and the minute you can convince them, then you are ready to take it on, for the world. They will always prove to be a first challenge, and it is not in no malicious way. It's just the fact that my parents used to dance. My father's nickname is Dancey. They were the people in the community where when my mother and father got in the weird, and they dance from one place named Escana. They used to tell us stories about these things. So for me, it was a little difficult to understand. But only used to dance. It's like we gone with it no one, and you don't support them. But dance at that time was extracurricular activities, not something to count as a career, it's like a career choice. So I felt very early that I am going to, and this is something we understand as well. When you're going to break a generational cycle, it's always difficult. When you're going to break a cycle and have something new come out of it, it's going to be a challenge. But it was far more difficult with my father than my mother. It was her who helped to convince him to say, yeah, no, make him go on. Because when I wanted her to understand what I'm doing is when I started inviting her. I said, come look at what I'm doing. Because I was choreographing dance without formally learning how to choreograph, and I was doing some things that people saw as amazing. Say, are you choreographed that? Are you put it together? Whatever it is. And I must say, yeah man, you're good. So now I wanted her to see it. And she came out and she saw it. And when she saw it, then she could have come home and said to my father, say, he might do some things where it's amazing out there and people love him. People love him in a genuine way. And he's not going to places where it look like I have some bad friend or some ray. Because, we, like I said, we grew up not going to other people's homes. And it's just because she wanted us to have certain values, and she don't want to roll with the crowd where the youth them fight other people and ray. And we grew up in a time where if we go up the road, somebody could have said, where you up the road? Your mother know you up here? Go on back down the road. That's the time that we grew up in. So the community helped to raise us, and the community respected her and respected what she was doing with us as young boys growing up. If I do it for somebody and don't like it, and I do it for my mother and she like it, I just know it will work. If me come do a dance here and she like it, or if me just a dance randomly something that I plan to put out there and she see it and rock to it or say something about it, I know it will work. I know for sure it will work. So a number of things did reach me. When I was supposed to leave, when I was about to leave Edith Dalton James, again, we buck up on some snag where they could not afford for me to do CXC. They couldn't afford it. So I left school with SSC. And the first time me going to the public and put out the SSC in front of a female, I mean, she never seemed like she wanted to do it, but she laughed. Like she laughed and try to hold back the laugh and say, where you go with that? Like, who brings SSC to a job interview for thing there? So I ended up getting into shoemaking. A friend of mine who, his father was a shoemaker, taught me the art of shoemaking for earn $1. Because you're getting older now, you're in your parents' house, you need can make some contribution to what is happening. So that's the route I had to take. And when I start learning to make shoes, every little thing. First it was just repairing shoes, until my friend showed me now how to make shoes using two pieces of material, the piece that goes over the front and the piece that goes around the side. So would I just use them two there and just stitch it down, put it over the last and then put on a piece. So even those things me used to carry and show my mother. I said, look, we move now from just repairing the shoes to learning to make these little moccasin type shoes. But because I've always wanted to be into entertainment, I said to my friend, say, what if we started doing shows for people, like free shows, just to advertise the fact that we're doing these shoes? And from there, we say, why don't we try and do a little designer course? There's a place on Reddy's Road called Energies, because anywhere me I go, I always say to my mother first, because once she verified it and said, that's not a bad idea. And we went to Energies to learn how to do shirts, Yeah, we never stay long enough to learn to make colors, but we could make some round neck things like this, and we learn how to stitch it, and we use bamboo to make the button, put on the button on the shirt. So now we used to beg people to put us on shows so we could advertise that we're doing shirts and things. The small group of people that we had around us, they were not dancers, so we used modeling. But we modeled with a little bit of flair and style, and then soon after it became dancing again, because I started training them how to make, movements in dance. And this is how I seep back into entertainment as a dancer, but it was advertising. But the breadwinner at the time was, making your little shoes, repairing your shoes. If anybody know Heel Bar that is in King's Plaza, that's one of the first established shoemaking place in Jamaica. So that's where we used to work, and that's how the bread came on the table until we started using it to advertise the things that we were doing. And I segued back into that. My friend got into music later on, but he had established shoemaking places, I think in different places around the island. But I went back into entertainment, and then I was called, I think it was in 1994, I was called to teach artists how to use the stage when they were having Tasty's Talent competition. So somebody called me and said, like how you know how to do stage craft and all of that, the people them hire me, and I was teaching the artists them how to use stage. If it's a dancer, I teach them a routine. If it's a singer, I teach them how to move on the stage, not to just be static on the stage. But soon after I start realizing, hey, I'm not being paid well. I may hustle, me bounce from this to that and this to that, and somebody encouraged me, say, you're going to have to go back to school. You have to go back to school and get a proper education, because now you don't have any formal education. You're smart and people like you, but unless you have the piece of paper. So I was thinking about it from 1995 to 1998. I have to try to figure out how, now that I'm getting popular and people knowing about me, how do I break this cycle to go? And I actually broke the cycle at the most popular time, 1998. Because 1998, I got the contract to choreograph all the dances that went into the National Stadium when Jamaica was campaigning for World Cup. And that was like the highest point. I am running out during halftime to perform with 20 females in front of 30,000 people in the National Stadium. And everybody has screamed out and everybody has talked about. Before them know my name, them call me the Ras. And the girls, them tell them just start twist me here, and them I say the Ras and the girl them. So this was at the high point. But that's when I stopped and went to Exeter Community College. And I literally begged my way into Exeter Community College. Mr. Kenny Salmon, big up yourself anyway, stand up boss, I always have to call your name. I said to him, please help me get into this program. Because he had a program called Paper to Stage where we were doing dramatizing the literature books to give to students. I had never really read a literature book, but I was now dramatizing this and went on stage and delivered it and realized, whoa. So is when me there exit. When I got into college, I was already 30 years old. When I started exit, and I was a little intimidated because I'm now sitting in class with 17 or 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds, and it took a lot out of me to sit in that program and finish that program, and I did. I started when it was just a certificate program. Then they upgraded it to a diploma program, and I stayed and did the diploma. Then they upgraded it to an associate degree, and I stayed and did the associate degree. And then I stayed on for a number of years as a full-time teacher in that program. So it was the journey, and right through this time, right through all of this, there was a Miss Laurel, every step of the way. Because you're going back to school now, and I was doing little odd things now to pay my tuition, and this is when I brought dancehall to Excel. Beg them, say, maybe teach some dance classes, some dancehall classes, for help pay the tuition, because this is the only way I can pay my way. And then these little things with Mr. Summer, that's where I did my CXCs at Exed Community College, that's when I read my first literature book. That is when I went on stage and was able to break down literature books to students. I have students seeing me up to today and say, you know, sir, you met my past literature when we used to think there? Because I was able now to analyze, and then and reading became a stronger part of me as well, you know, and made me a writer, you know, a better writer when I started writing. I graduated from Exed as the first double major, because a lot of people didn't know that I really love drama as much as I love dance, but dance established me first, you know. So when I was at Exed, I was able now to embrace the other areas, and then the learning experience was just phenomenal. So the things that I was not fully engaged in when I was at secondary school, I was embracing in college, because now it felt like all the things that I love, I'm truly seeing the artistic side of it and the educational side of it, and that it actually have things that you can teach back. So I said, whoa, full course outline on dance, learning about anatomy, learning about dances from West Africa, from, you know, it was so huge that I was able to get other students who came into the college to really apply themselves, because one of the mandates of Exed Community College was to take the youths from the community and ensure that they not just get into the program but pass the program. You know, so we were very hands-on, because they were hands-on with me. So I had to do the same thing with the students that came, and that kind of, I was empowered. I was empowered because every single thing that I was doing, I could come and say to my mother, say, Mommy, this is what I'm doing, Miss Larry, this is what I'm doing, and I've always got the nod of approval. And one of the major things I tell people about the relationship between me and my mother, if I ever think that I do something beyond the law and she heard about it, I feel like that's the day she will just pass this life, because of how she grew us and how she begged us not to embarrass her. So every single thing that I do, it's to make her proud and to make sure that she always see me at the, you know, in the highest esteem possible. That's it.
I'm feeling so proud that sometimes I'm sorry I didn't ever do so. Number one, you walk like me.
Yeah. Everybody said it.
True.
Yeah.
Wow. Because one day I was going up the road, you know, and he bothered me, hear me? I'm foot, no? Hear the lady side of me. No matter cause him foot at all, me love her, are you a foot him? Yeah, man, him have a lot of memories, you know? And I'm glad to know that I really take them to this distance, and they are still making me feel good. Yeah. Because from them small, you know, I don't have no problem to go there and pacify this. School, nowhere. And it's not that they don't have problem at school, but problem what they can manage. So they don't have to come to me and say, well, Mommy so and so, I have to go for the school. And what I go to school to do is just to see who over them and how things go. So I don't have no problem.
That would be a girl I liked, and she didn't like the relationship. Not that she didn't like the girl, but she didn't like the relationship. And she warned me, but she went with it, and it went sour. Let me tell you something. The woman here come for me now. Me go live with the girl now. And she come for me now. And I tell you, come for me. And I say, let me ask you, so you're gonna mad me? You're gonna drop me down? Can me leave one inner city and go to one next inner city, where it's far more volatile than the inner city where me in. But I like the girl. And I just feel like say, them I give her a hard time. You get what I say? So, yeah man, that was it. And she was strict on the fact that I don't like the relationship. It has not to do something not right about it. There's something. And is is as you get older, you realize that even things that kids are doing sometimes, when them think say them are reinvent the wheel or them not see certain things or them, and there's a, it's a frequency. You see things in our people sometimes, but we are so surfaced when we're young, you know, and in the moment, that when people are trying to show us something that might be even more spiritual, you know, and more associated with frequency, it's difficult to see. And yeah, when she came, there was no hesitation. The fact that she came, me just know.
Because things weren't right with him, sweetheart. Things wasn't right with him, and I know. So I want him to come back here.
Yeah.
And I intervene in all three life.
Yeah.
And now I have three wonderful daughters, not daughter-in-law. Three wonderful daughters from a threesome. I don't fret for nobody.
Me telling you
They are well taken care of.
a story and know how you see a mother's intuition. We went to, and this was 1995, we went to Trinidad. This was the first or the second time I think we were traveling. And we got into some serious issues when we were there. Things to do with drugs and, you know. So the person who took us there because we were in a play, and they took the play, but the play was supposed to be the front runner for what they were doing at the back end. So we never know nothing about this, and then when we found out, we were already in the middle of this ordeal. And we were in Grenada. It was supposed to be a Caribbean tour, you know, and the person had money just when we went up with them the first time, they rent a car every other day and Ray. But this was some serious drug running that we never realized that was happening. When we found out about it, we were now about to leave from Grenada to Trinidad. And when we got to Trinidad, we were put up in a home where a friend of mine found out. They took us to a party one night, but they took us to it's like a gay bar or a bar where you have, you know. No, me can tell you, 1995, 1996, I was seriously homophobic, and all of my friends around me was the same thing. But you have a hothead you know where when we were there, me see some movements between two men and two women, and I said, that place here don't look too right. And my friend said, what do you mean? And I said, look over there, son. See it? And lose him cool. Lose him cool. No, it is the person who is hosting us. Took us to the bar. And you lose it. Cuss and go and bad and say, that me left Jamaica far away. You know, the woman put you out of her house. The same night. The same night. So we are in Trinidad, in a place called Arima, which is kind of uptownish. And there's some people where we meet when we there promote the play from a place called Maloney Gardens that we went to stay with those people. No, this would be like some people come link you and then get up one day and call you. And you say to them, say, where you there? And them say, I'm there at Tivoli. And you say, where you do at Tivoli? Because Maloney Gardens is the replica of Tivoli. Is the same thing. Is the blueprint, because it's Matalan Billet too. It's the same blueprint from Tivoli Gardens. And incidentally, the people are the same. And we stayed in that place because when we got to Grenada, the man that took us to this place that was in the Holy Park, wrongdoing, was supposed to now get our tickets for us to go home. Our ticket can't come. We went to the airport 3 times. Tickets were booked but not paid for. 3 times we have to carry back a suitcase go to Maloney Gardens. Yeah, we were in Trinidad for 3 months. One of the time I tell my brother, say, you know, so we need to go to the embassy to make them deport with. Because every time that we got a chance, my now business partner, who is Mr. Silgard, owner operator for here, buck way up, because at the time I think he was touring with, I think it was, I'm not trying to remember if it was Shaba or Buju. in Buckway at Trinidad, at the airport. And I said to him, please tell my mother, say, all right. And if it was 1 or 2 times for the month that I got a chance to call her and speak to her, she said, what I mean, I seriously psych up myself for calling her in the happiest vibe, you know. And she keeps saying, what is wrong? Something wrong. You not tell me something. Yeah? And I got to a place where I literally had to pick somebody's phone lock in a house, call a friend of mine in LA and ask them to call my brother in New York. I never have a number. And I saw my breakdown and literally cry on the phone and tell him what we are going through and the fact that, you know, we need to reach home. And first him sent me some money for help out because we were staying in a home with him and take care of it. But we couldn't, you know, give back nothing. So when him sent me some money with, you know, to help them take care of the house, and then he sent some money for buy a ticket for me, and I came home, and the very same thing me do when me come home, but this very same thing my brother do. Me go on the back of me yard, I cry. And my brother come do the same thing. And it's when me come home and tell my mother the story, she broke down into tears because she said she knew. She could have feel it.
Could never sleep at night.
She know something wrong. Yeah. And
No
that was maybe one of my biggest ordeals, which was unintentional. You know, something where you buck up in it. But again, I think it was the fact that it wasn't intentional for us to get in this situation, and just what she feel for we, and sending that frequency out. She want her kids to be protected, and she want them to come back home to her. You know, that got we home, got us home safe. My closing argument is the fact that when I can say, me sitting here with her, she's 85 years old. She is now not just the wife to my father, she's also the caretaker, as of chronic arthritis. And she's taking care of him. And there are times when she's still taking care of me. Because if I step into the yard and something, my persona is not bright, she wants to know. So the support, her continued support, our never-ending love and affection. And I want to say to every youth, it's not a joke thing when them say, Anna, your parents, that not just your days, that their days can be longer too. Because when they have to worry about you, it deplete them, you know. So honor your parents in a real life, and that is why this woman, and not just my mother and the first wife.
You're the greatest mom of all. Always catch me when I fall. Even from a distance, you can hear me when I call. You're the greatest mom of all. You're the greatest mom of all. You're the greatest mom.